Welcome to Unmute Yourself. I'm your host, Jennifer Carter, and I'm so glad you're here. This podcast is about lifting the curtain on leadership, purpose, and the real stories behind people who dared to turn pain into power and purpose into action. We explore what happens when life pushes you to the edge and you decide to build something beautiful from it. Now, today's guest is someone whose life and work embody that transformation. Den'Mica Eugene is a powerhouse of creativity, purpose, and heart. A minister of the gospel, actress, producer, speaker, and founder of Forever Stories and the Turtle Lane Foundation, which honors her daughter's life and raises awareness around gun violence. From her Detroit roots to her inspiring journey in Texas, Den'Mica weaves fearless artistry with deep faith, using storytelling to heal and empower others to walk boldly in their God-given purpose. Den'Mica, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you? I have been so looking forward to this conversation. I know that your story and everything that you're working on will really hit home with our listeners. So let's just jump on in and go back to that moment where everything changed. So what led you to create the Turtle Lane Foundation? And how did your daughter's story inspire that mission?
She was out celebrating her new job. She was a young lawyer. She just received a job. I'm very proud of her. She was making her offer was 90,000. She was
Wow.
27 years old. And on this particular night, she just was with her boyfriend and then her best friend and her best friend's boyfriend, and they were out celebrating. And a young man, angry young man, was in the I guess he was in a dispute or with another young man in the bistro that she was at, and he left out. And I guess he went out and got a weapon, and then he came back in and he shot the young man in the head and killed him. He shot his friend in the face. He didn't die, but he suffered, still traumatic. She was just, I don't believe she passed instantly. I believe, was on the way to the hospital. The amazing part of that moment and her transitioning was there was a young man, and I love to tell this part because a lot of the details are so divine to me. His name was Trayvon Martin, and he tried to resuscitate her. And I was traveling. I've been doing some acting and things like that. So I was traveling. I was in LA, and I received the call in the middle of the night and had to get back to Texas because she was in San Antonio for the weekend. Uh, that was the worst time of my life. It's still very difficult, very challenging, but I knew instantly with the details and the timing and the specifics of her untimely death, it was purposeful.
Mm.
And one of my friends called me, well, a young man, let me tell you this, on the plane, he told me, whatever you do, seek peace everywhere you go. So I've held on to that. He actually prayed for me on the plane. It was a moment where it was a unlikely stranger to pray for me. I mean, this young man had tattoos and everything all over his face. And he said, can I pray for you? And he prayed for me and he told me to seek peace. After that, I had a friend tell me, you're having a spiritual experience.
Mm.
And it really has been. It's been an eye opener. And Elena has been a beacon of light. It's like she's she lit up my pathway to lead me into my purpose of discovering and knowing that her life is meaningful. She wanted to leave an empowering legacy, and I am endeavoring to do that.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, ma'am.
um, and with our listeners. And whenever we've talked, it always amazes me how much strength you have. And I know when we experience loss, we all respond in different ways, right? And sometimes it's easy to feel paralyzed. So, what has helped you take that first step toward action instead of just completely surrendering to that pain?
One, my foundation is Christ. So I literally felt like God picked me up in his hands and he gave me a little bit more insight. And I grew up in an environment, I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and I grew up in the 90s. I graduated high school in 1993. And I say I grew up in the drive-by era.
Oh, yes.
And it was a time where when I went to high school, friends were being murdered. Gun violence was prevalent. It was just almost unreal environment. And I knew I didn't want my children to grow up that way. It was almost to the point where at this space in my life, it was calling me back to remember that time and do something for all the families, every family. You never think it has anything to do with you until it has something to do with you, until it hits your doorstep. And it hit my doorstep so hard, to where I have to take action. I feel that it's a strong conviction that I have that I want to help families be safe. I want children to be able to go outside and play. I want families to go to restaurants and movies and have that liberty that we are supposed to have,
Mhm.
that other countries have. So that's why I'm taking action now. That's why the initiative and the conviction is so strong because I'm going to move forward with this without support, with or without help. If I have to be one man standing on the corner saying in gun violence, I'm that person.
Uh, you're on a mission, fueled by your convictions and your deeply personal experience, and
Yes.
you're not letting anything or anyone stop you. So what is your goal with the Turtle Lane Foundation?
My overall goal is to help families who experience violent trauma like this, gun violence, dealing with gun violence. I want to because when it came time to say, for her service, I
Mhm.
want so Turtle Lane Foundation will serve and service the community, and Forever Stories Museum is for ordinary people who did extraordinary things like my daughter. She will be the cornerstone of that museum. And I want to honor ordinary people and their extraordinary endeavors on this earth so that they can understand that we still
Mhm.
made it.
I love how you said, she's a bright light and she's, impacting the world still. And tell us a little bit about the name Turtle Lane Foundation. What does that represent?
Elena called herself Turtle Lane. I thought it was an adorable name always. She even had a sweatshirt with that on there. Elena loved turtles. And what she loved about turtles were, although they looked like they were moving, they were very slow, but they were very impactful and powerful. Their shells are extremely strong. It's a safe place for them to retreat.
Mm.
So light up her legacy as never before. Her name is going to be great in all the earth. I just know that. And so I don't know if you can see it, but daily I wear my turtle. Uh,
Yes.
my sisters, my family, we all wear our turtles, and it represents Elena. This is really something that we all wore to her service. I call it, what do they call it? A grief object. It's a grief object. So we carry it with us. My cousin, he even has his hats. He wears his turtle on his hats. And, it's just kind of become our thing.
Mhm.
And that's where the name came from because she called herself Turtle Lane. She had many nicknames, but Turtle Lane kind of just stuck out. It represented her. She had turtles. She would stop on the road if she saw a turtle actually crossing the road.
Mhm. You had also mentioned to me before, um, what kind of law she was practicing. Tell us about that.
She wanted to do criminal law, surprisingly, but she really wanted to represent.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely see that representation of the turtle with that strength, slow and steady, sticking your neck out for something that you believe in. And that to me, right? That sounds like you too, Den'Mica. I know that you've been working on building the Turtle Lane Foundation and you're working on a symposium for next fall. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, as you're going and I see you take step after step after step. What have been some of the hardest parts and what keeps you going when it either feels too heavy or you're getting frustrated or it's hard to see that your progress?
So the hardest part is the support.
Mm.
That's the hard part. I know a lot of people are like, well, gun violence will never end. I see a lot of loss of hope, but I realize that silence has gotten us to this point. This is what keeps me going. Me understanding now that I have purpose and value, That one voice can make a difference. That one voice can empower so many people who feel hopeless. I've never thought, coming up and seeing so many people victimized by this epidemic, because that's what it is. I've felt hopeless in the past, going to funeral after funeral after funeral and seeing these mothers. Now I am that mother. For one, my love for ministry, my love for people, my love for empowering people and equipping them with the tools that they need. Because sometimes it's us keeping us separated. And I don't want to be that separation. I want to be that unity.
Tell us what you mean by that. We're the ones that are keeping us
A lot of
separated.
times, you have people who don't believe, or they're like, oh, just sit down, go have a seat, because it's not going to make a difference. And then, you have leadership that is just out for themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you can become easily discouraged, but I'm not easily discouraged. I'm always up for a good fight. So I'm going to
love
fight
it.
the good fight of faith until I can't fight anymore. I'm going to use the weapons at my disposal. And when I say weapons, I mean my voice, my heart, my whole physical being. And I make sure that as I'm depositing good into me, I want to give that back to the world.
Beautiful. And you're also the founder, you had mentioned it earlier, of Forever Stories, where you help others tell their own stories because oftentimes we don't have a platform to or don't know how to. So why do you believe that storytelling is such an important tool for both healing and community change?
It's again because so long people have been silenced. So long people have felt suppressed and oppressed by wicked people. And it's time for us to, like you're doing a good thing with your podcast, and um, unmute yourself. Tell your story. This is powerful. Sharing, it encourages the next person to open their mouth. Don't sit on this thing. Don't silence yourself because the masses say you should be quiet. No, use your voice. It can change lives. It changes the next generation. It impacts the next generation. Our job is not just to be here for our own selfish reasons. Our job is to pass the mantle to the babies, the children, the ones who, still have that light in their eye. This world
Mhm.
doesn't have to suck the life out of them. We can make sure that their lights continue to shine bright.
And
That's why
I always wonder, like, why don't people wanna hear each other's stories, right? Is it too heavy to hear? Is it too emotional? Does it bring other things up for people? And I think the more we share, the more normal it becomes, and the
Mhm.
more people know that they're not alone.
Yes.
Yeah, so one of the things I like to focus on too is as women, we have so many different responsibilities and balancing it all and, waking up every day, excuse me, exhausted, maybe burning out. Like, how do you balance creating this vision for your daughter and for the community while being a minister and a mom? And I know you've had a successful career in salon management. Is that right? Yeah. So how do you balance that? How do you take care of yourself?
I'm learning how to, and I tell people now, I encourage women, men, do something nice for yourself. Self care is crucial, it's important, it's critical to. I go to sleep at night now. I sleep now.
You sleep.
I sleep. I stepped back for the last 3 years from the salon and from people so that I can focus on my mental, so I can come up with a strategy to move forward with. I promised myself when this happened, Den'Mica, you're going to heal well.
Mm,
And I've been intentional about my healing well because this is something that I absolutely know could have destroyed me, but I refuse to let it. I've seen other mothers lose their children who chose not to heal well. So I take my vitamins.
you just did such a great job describing what it means to heal well. And I love that you chose yourself over trying to keep life as quote unquote normal as possible because I don't think that there is normal after you go through something so deep. And so, like, trying to push it down or just go about life as if it's not as if nothing happened, but putting on a mask and saying, I'm fine, everything's fine. It's refreshing to see that and to hear that in all honesty, that taking care of yourself after something so tragic, you've done a great thing. So you've taken something unthinkable, right? And turned it into this legacy of hope. So, what would you say to other parents or loved ones walking through a similar loss who just don't know where to begin? Yeah. Yeah. It's who you surround yourself with really feeds into your thoughts, emotions, actions. So figuring that out and just being protective of your space and your peace because it's not worth it otherwise.
Because a lot of people, and I tell people all the time, if you're coming to my house, bring me peace, bring me love, bring me light, bring me hope. Don't bring me all the stuff because it's enough stuff out there. And then and as I'm ready, I go out and
Mhm.
I deal with the things in the world. And then I come back home. I do like a detox and I pray a lot. That's my key, honestly. It's prayer and really dealing with your own stuff. And those things that I did not like about myself over these last several years, I have been dealing with them, facing them, cleansing myself on the inside so that I can be effective when I go outside.
Deep healing, self-awareness, reflection. Yeah. So how do you, as a woman of faith, how do you keep your faith, especially when the world is not making any sense whatsoever?
Well, that's a good one. And what I did for myself, and this was part of my healing, I took a 2-year course in ministry and I had classes on Tuesday and Saturday. And that was more important to me than anything in this world. Staying in my word, studying my word. And I never realized how much I love to study the word. I love it. And it was and then I surrounded myself with people who were doing the same thing because they were my classmates. And I actually, I don't know if people who know who, sometimes when I say on point, it kept me on track. It kept me focused in my word. It kept me
Mhm.
studying and digging deeper in myself than I ever went before. And now I am very adamant about that. So I study, I study, I study. I seek out knowledge. I seek out wisdom and I love to share it. I don't want to overwhelm people with it, but I
Yeah.
love to share it.
Yeah, and you're such a bright light. Every time we've talked, you seem so grounded and positive and focused. And I think whenever you're sharing yourself, that comes across to folks. And I think because you're being so conscious of what you're putting out in the world and what you're bringing into your world. Yes.
It's a practice.
It is a practice
Yes.
and it's not perfect. You
No,
just keep going.
just
Yes.
keep going.
Den'Mica, what is one thing or something that
Mhm.
you wish more people understood about families who are impacted by gun violence?
That a family that has been impacted to, especially a great loss, like not that every life is valuable. It's a deep, painful wound. And sometimes I had to be strong for other members in my family, even when I wasn't strong. Because just the mention of her name, even to this day, I have family members who just start crying or they
Right,
can't handle me talking about her with such joy.
right, right. Well, Den'Mica, I could talk to you all day long, and I do have some lightning round questions for
Okay.
you. So just answer with the first thing that comes to mind, okay? So, what is one lesson you've learned that you wished everyone knew?
Make good choices.
Just make good choices.
Make good
Make
choices.
good choices.
Healthy choices.
Help
Yes.
feel good. Yeah. Okay, if you could go back and tell your younger self one thing, what would it be? You are valuable. And in one sentence, what does leadership mean to you? And what's the boldest choice you've made that's paid off?
Pouring into myself.
And last quick question, what's the next big dream that you are after?
Oh, cinema, being on a
Yes.
I'm an actress, so I love it. Hollywood, being on screen with Regina Hall. Yeah, we're gonna be
I,
sisters in some movie.
we're
Yeah.
manifesting this, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I can see
Yes.
this.
Working at Tyler Perry Studios, working with all the greats. I'm not gonna limit myself. It doesn't make me a difference, but I love redemptive stories. So that's the biggest dream of it all, redemptive stories and working and seeing the my hard work pay off.
Beautiful. Well, Den'Mica, this has been such a powerful conversation. Thank you so much for your courage, your heart, and for the work you're doing to bring healing through purpose. Before we wrap, I do have a couple of final questions for you. So,
Yeah.
if listeners walk away remembering just one thing from this conversation, what do you hope it is? Period. And on a more personal note, what has it meant for you to share your story here on Unmute Yourself today?
This has been an honor. You are such a light, a jewel. It's been restorative, invigorating. It's so many things and so many emotions that I have. Just to connect with you, you have been a blessing. So it's been a blessing for me.
Same. You're great. You're great. Den'Mica, how can our listeners connect with you and support your work? Is it volunteering, amplifying your message?
Yes, volunteering. I'm still creating, I'm still building. Right now I'm a one man show, but I do have some support, and be on the lookout for Turtle Lane Foundation, Facebook, Instagram, all the things they're coming up within the next month. And then come and support the Survivor Network that I'm starting. And it is for, once again, Turtle Lane Foundation for survivors. I hope that people realize that if you've been around any type of gun violence,
Thank you again, Den'Mica Eugene, for joining me. And thank you to everyone listening and for showing up, reflecting, and choosing to unmute yourself in your own way. So if today's conversation has moved or inspired you, please share this episode, subscribe, follow, and help us spread the word about stories that turn heartbreak into hope. And until next time, unmute yourself and step into the story only you can tell.